I'm 77 years old, and yesterday it took me 2 hours to make a sandwich. Not because I was being careful or taking my time, because every single step of that simple task exhausted me so completely that I had to stop and rest. Getting the bread out of the cabinet, walking to the refrigerator, finding the lunch meat, spreading the mayo. Each movement felt like I was carrying stones. And when I finally sat down to eat that sandwich, I was so tired I could barely chew. I looked at that ordinary lunch I'd made 1,000 times before and thought, when did this become impossible? When did living require more energy than I have to give? It started happening maybe 4 or 5 months ago. I'd noticed that tasks were taking longer. Unloading the dishwasher would leave me winded. Folding laundry would require multiple breaks. Making the bed would exhaust me for the rest of the morning. At first I told myself I was just having slow days, tired days. Nothing to worry about. Everyone has off days. I'd feel better tomorrow. But tomorrow I didn't feel better. And the day after that was worse. And gradually, without quite realizing it was happening, I started measuring my life in tasks I could accomplish per day. Not tasks I wanted to do. Tasks I physically had the energy for. And that number kept getting smaller. I live alone. I've lived alone for 13 years since my husband passed. And living alone after 70 means there's no one else to pick up the slack when you run out of energy. No one to finish the dishes you started but couldn't complete. No one to cook dinner when making lunch used up everything you had. No one to notice that you're spending more and more time sitting in your chair, doing nothing, because doing anything requires energy you simply don't have anymore. Have you felt this happening? Days when every task, no matter how small, feels like climbing a mountain. The mornings became the worst. I'd wake up already tired, not refreshed from sleep, but somehow more exhausted than when I'd gone to bed. And I'd lie there thinking about everything I needed to do that day, feeling the weight of it pressing down on me. Shower, get dressed, make breakfast, and each item on that mental list felt impossible. Too much, more than I could manage. So I started skipping things. Wouldn't shower every day because it was too tiring. Wouldn't get properly dressed. Just stay in my nightgown or throw on yesterday's clothes. Wouldn't make real breakfast. Just eat crackers or nothing at all because cooking required energy I needed to conserve for something else. Except there was never anything else. I was conserving energy for tasks I'd then be too tired to do anyway. When was the last time you had energy left over? When did you stop doing things because you enjoyed them and start doing only what was absolutely necessary? My daughter called one evening and asked what I'd done that day. And I had to really think about it. What had I done? I'd gotten out of bed eventually. Made coffee, though I'd left the pot on the counter instead of putting it away because walking back to the cabinet was too much. Eaten something, maybe. Sat in my chair, watched television without really watching it. Thought about taking a shower but didn't. Thought about making lunch but couldn't face it. Just sat. Just existed. Just tried to breathe without it feeling like work. She asked if I was feeling sick, and I said no, because I wasn't sick. Not in any way I could define. I wasn't running a fever or in pain or fighting an illness. I was just empty, hollow, like someone had drained all the energy out of me and left nothing but the shell of a person who used to be capable. Do you know this feeling? This bone-deep exhaustion that has nothing to do with how much you've done and everything to do with simply being. The house started to show my decline. Dishes piled up because washing them was too exhausting. Laundry went undone because the effort of sorting and loading and folding was beyond me. Dust accumulated because even holding a dust cloth felt heavy. I'd look around at the slowly deteriorating state of my home and think I should clean, should do something, should take care of this. But thinking about it was as far as I could get. Actually doing it was impossible. I stopped answering the door, partly because I didn't want anyone to see the mess, but mostly because getting up from my chair and walking to the door and maintaining a conversation required more energy than I had, so I'd sit there when the doorbell rang, frozen, hoping whoever it was would go away. And they always did, and I'd feel relief and also something else. Shame, maybe, or fear. Fear that this was what my life had become. Someone too exhausted to answer her own door. My son came over using his key when I didn't answer. Found me in my chair in my nightgown at 3 in the afternoon. The house dirty. Me unwashed. Nothing indicating I'd done anything that day or the day before, or maybe the week before. He looked scared. Actually scared. He asked if I was okay, and I said yes. Just tired. And he said, "You're always tired now, Mum. When did this start?" And I couldn't answer. Couldn't pinpoint a moment when energy left and exhaustion took over. It had been so gradual, so insidious, this slow draining away of vitality until there was nothing left but someone who could barely function. Someone for whom living alone had become surviving alone. Barely. He made me get up, helped me to the bathroom, made me shower while he waited outside the door. And that shower, that basic act of washing myself, left me so exhausted I had to sit on the toilet lid afterward, trembling, gasping, unable to stand. And I heard him outside asking if I was okay, and I couldn't even answer because speaking required energy I didn't have. That's when we both knew. This wasn't just tiredness. This wasn't just getting older. This was something serious. Something that meant I couldn't take care of myself anymore. That elderly living alone, for me, had crossed from manageable to dangerous. Because if I couldn't shower without nearly collapsing, if making a sandwich took 2 hours, if every basic task of daily living was beyond my capacity, how could I claim to be living independently? We talked that day about options, about whether this was something fixable or something permanent, about tests and doctors and trying to understand what was wrong. But underneath all of that was the unspoken question. The nursing home fear. Because if I didn't have the energy to take care of myself, someone else would have to take care of me. And if that was true, could I really stay here, in my own home, alone? He arranged for a home health aide to come every day. Not to do everything for me, but to help, to be there, to make sure I ate and drank and took care of basic needs. To do the tasks I no longer had energy for, to keep me functioning at some minimal level while we figured out what was happening and whether it could be addressed. And we started seeing doctors, running tests, looking for explanations, thyroid problems, vitamin deficiencies, heart issues, anything that might explain this overwhelming fatigue, anything that might be treatable. Because if it wasn't treatable, if this was just what aging looked like for me, then we had to face what that meant for my future, for my independence, for my ability to stay in my home. It's been 6 weeks now. We've found some things, some deficiencies we're correcting, some medications that might help. And I have marginally more energy. Some days I can shower and get dressed. Some days I can make lunch without collapsing. Some days I feel almost human. But I'm learning that aging and independence sometimes means accepting that your body has changed in fundamental ways. That energy you used to take for granted might not be available anymore. That living alone requires a baseline level of functioning. And when you fall below that, you need help. Real, consistent, daily help. I'm learning that losing independence doesn't always look like falls, or memory loss, or obvious crisis. Sometimes it looks like this. Like exhaustion so profound that simple tasks become impossible. Like days spent in a chair because doing anything else requires more than you have. Like watching your life shrink to the space between your bed and your television because that's all you can manage. If every task exhausts you, if you're conserving energy for activities you never actually do, if you've stopped taking care of yourself and your home because you simply can't anymore, please hear what I'm saying. Isn't serious. This is your body telling you something is wrong, that you need help, that living alone without support isn't working anymore. There's still time to get that help. There's still time to see doctors, run tests, find out what's wrong and whether it can be fixed. There's still time to bring in support that lets you stay in your home even if you can't do everything yourself. But there's not unlimited time. And waiting until you've deteriorated completely, until you're bedridden or unable to function at all, that's when you lose all choice about what happens next. So please, be honest about your energy level. Are you really okay? Or are you slowly shutting down, doing less and less, living smaller and smaller because that's all you can manage? Because that's not just tiredness, that's a crisis. And it needs addressing before it steals everything from you. If this resonated with you, if you're living with this same exhaustion, I hope you'll subscribe to this channel. Share this with someone who might be struggling silently. Leave a comment about your experience, because you're not alone. Hit the like button if this felt real. We need to talk about energy loss. We need to get help before we can't ask for it. That's something I'm learning one exhausting day at a time.